Hello everyone, my name is Fu Jiezhang. Today I will talk about the topic, do teachers and their peers accept LBGTQ students? Faced with whether teachers and students accept LBGTQ students, the answers can be yes or no. LGBTQ groups in a small society such as a school may still experience discrimination due to social and family influence, which cannot be avoided entirely. However, schools and education authorities have been set up to protect LGBTQ students. Education authorities and schools try to help students identify with their gender and establish the proper gender equality guidelines. Education policies require schools and teachers to protect LGBTQ communities and have specific recommendations for interacting with them. Over the past decade, the United States Supreme Court's marriage equality rulings have culminated in waves of public opinion in this country that have changed form of denigration to affirmation of gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, queer, or daughter. The backlash against these victories and protections for LGBTQ people, including students, is deplorable, but perhaps predictable, especially the rash of so-called bathroom laws that restrict the rights of transgender and non-transgender people. According to the book, public schools often lead the way for the broader society in modeling inclusiveness and pluralism. Educators make schools safe and friendly places for everyone in the school community. How schools help LGBTQ students thrive, according to the book, More Than a Safer Space. Nearly 30 years ago, rapid efforts to improve schools for gay and lesbian youth focused heavily on safety. But today, as more and more people support LGBTQ rights and legalize gay marriage across the country, educators and policymakers have come to move beyond just making sure schools are safer for LGBTQ students and instead working to create schools that recognize and respect them. According to the principle of ensuring safe and supportive learning environment for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning students, there list 9 principles. First, schools must have policies and update them as needed, protecting LGBTQ students from harassment, violence, and discrimination based on LGBTQ student status to ensure compliance with the law. Second, students must include content about violence and suicide prevention related to LGBTQ students in their required school personal training. Third, schools are encouraged to offer school-based groups for LGBTQ and heterosexual students. Fourth, schools are encouraged to provide support for family members of LGBTQ students. Fifth, districts are encouraged to designate a proficient staff member in issues related to sexual orientation and gender identity. Sixth, schools, through their curricula, should encourage respect for the human and civil rights of all individuals, including LGBTQ individuals. Seventh, schools are encouraged to provide age-appropriate information about LGBTQ issues in school libraries and school student and faculty resource centers. Eighth, schools are encouraged to have a diverse workforce. Ninth, schools are encouraged to review academic or non-academic policies and procedures and available data to identify issues or patterns that may create barriers to a safe and successful learning experience for LGBTQ students. According to these 9 principles, schools and education departments are comprehensive in their safety and support for LGBTQ among students. Transgender people make up a small percentage of the U.S. population. That alone makes it more challenging to address these issues through education and engagement. At the same time, many Americans consider gender assertiveness to be a belief. They do not see male and female as socially constructed, fluid categories, either because God created them, simply because that's what they believe. According to the article, it will never be possible to disentangle conviction and bigotry completely. Belief shapes prejudice. Prejudice shapes belief. Like those worried about the girls' locker room at William Fremont High School, parents seem unlikely to change their minds anytime soon. Although their children's average age may be, the lawsuit shows that some of these ideas are being passed on to the next generation compared to their parents. According to the book, despite progress, unwelcoming school climates continue to take a toll on the well-being of LGBTQ students. There is evidence that educators often do not view anti-LGBT bullying and harassment as acceptable behavior. Sometimes they are unable to respond to problems because of prejudice or social pressure. When they can point to enumerated language that provide explicit protections for LGBT students, they feel more comfortable enforcing the policy. Even those schools, the education sector, society, and some family embrace LGBT, protect and support LGBTQ people. Most people still hold the same beliefs. Traditional beliefs unfairly target LGBTQ students in family values, and the educators who are inappropriate and dismissive of issues within the LGBT community. Teachers and peers do not fully accept LGBT students. However, with the progress and development of society, the acceptance of LGBT people in the organization is increasing, while the implementation of education policies to protect and deal with issues of LGBT students are promoting the acceptance of LGBTQ people. Here are the references used in this topic. Thank you for listening.